Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you some quick and easy, budget-friendly gift ideas for Christmas that you can start ahead of time. This will help your stress level at Christmas if you do start early. So if you want to know how to make them, stick around. I'll show you how. And be sure and give me a thumbs up because it really does help my channel. Right, Maxwell? Okay, for this one, I'm just taking two little wood slices, and then I'm taking some little finials. I got them on Amazon. I'll give you the link for those, and I'm going to use those for legs, and I'm going to attach those with wood glue. But I'm going to start by filling in the hole with a wood filler because I don't want that hole in my disc. And this stuff starts out purple, and once it's dry, it'll turn a yellow color. And you want to do the front and the back of this, get it completely filled in. Okay, after that's dried, I'm just going to take some wood glue and attach my legs down to the bottom. Now I'm putting 4 on these. I'm kind of spaced them out evenly on both sides. And I'm doing 2 of these little gifts right here. But you do want to put enough wood glue so that it does adhere and stays on good. Now then I tried to stain this, and this did not work out very well because I should have sanded down where I had that wood filler. So I am switching over to just some regular brown paint, and I'm just going to paint this. Now we're going to distress this in a little bit, so it really didn't matter whether you use stain or you paint it. And even with the paint, it was still showing through, so I did have to go back and sand it and then just repaint it. So go ahead and sand it first. And I was able to get a nice coat of paint on it. Okay, next I'm going to take some white acrylic paint and a chip brush, and I'm just going to put some on a paper towel, rub my chip brush on it, rub most of the paint off, and then I'm going to distress this. And I'm going to distress these heavily. And I'm going to do the bottom, the sides, all of it. But I am going to show you here. I'm going to kind of go fast, but I do want you to see how much I distressed it, and it really did end up looking nice. Gave it a nice snow dusting look to it. And next I'm going to take a pillar candle, and then I'm also going to take an orange slice. I dried these in my oven. You can buy these on Amazon. I'll give you the link for them. And I'm going to take a piece of greenery and attach these together, and I'm just going to wrap the twine around the middle of them. Now you can use a pillar candle like this to put stuff on the outside of it because a pillar candle is going to burn down inside of it, not on the outside of it. So you can attach some things to the outside of a pillar candle. And I'm just going to tie that into a knot, and then I'm going to tie that into a bow. Next, I'm just going to take a star of anise, and I'm going to glue this to the front of each one of my candles. Now, you can get these online, or you can buy them at the grocery store, but they do smell so good. They kind of have a licorice smell to them. And I'm just going to glue it right to the center. And you can make these so fast. These are really cute gifts. Next, I'm going to glue my candle down to the center of my little disc. Just kind of line it up there and make sure it is centered good. And then to dress it up a little bit, I'm going to take a couple of little pine cones I got at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to glue 2 of them on the side. Okay, and then this is how those end up looking. Look how cute those are. And to package these, I'm just using a bag that has a gusset, so it has a flat bottom. And I'm just going to take some tape, and I'm going to tape the 2 bottom sides into the bottom. And that way it'll reduce the size of your packaging. I'm just going to tie a rubber band around the top to close it up. Next, I got these little tags from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to stamp them with a little Christmas tree stamp that I have. These little tags, I would definitely pick some of these up because they are great for any kind of gifting. I'm just kind of centering it right into the center, and then I'm just going to stamp it. Just get a small little Christmas stamp and then just put a little stamp on it. And I'm just using black ink on this. I'm just going to slide that right over the top, and then I'm going to add a nice ribbon. This was pretty quick and easy, and these turned out so cute. All right, look how cute those turned out. Make plenty of these because these really do make really nice gifts, and they're very inexpensive to make. This next one, you're going to be sure and wear some gloves for this. We're going to be making some vanilla, and I'm just using some vanilla bean that I got from Amazon, and I'm using a grade B for this. So vanilla, if you're making vanilla, get a grade B vanilla bean. And I'm just going to cut this open, and I'm going to cut these into some pieces. Okay, next I got these little amber bottles from Amazon. They come with the lids, they come with a funnel, they also come with a label, and I'll give you the link for those in the description below. I'm going to use vodka for this. You definitely want to use vodka or Everclear or something like that. And just buy the cheapest one that you can get. It doesn't have to be expensive. Next, I'm just going to take my vanilla beans and I'm just going to cut them in half. That way I can get them down inside of my jars. Now, I'm using amber jars. You can use clear jars, but you definitely want to start this process early because it takes for about a month for the vanilla to make. And I was able to make 7 bottles out of this. So you just kind of divide them up evenly so that you can get equal amounts into your bottles. And just stick it all the way down in there. And then we're going to put our vodka in after we get these all filled. And this little funnel was really handy that they include in here, but you want to make sure that you fill your jars up full. And I was able to fill enough of these up out of that 1 bottle of vodka. And you want to kind of watch what you're doing here because I ended up overfilling mine, so you'll end up with a mess if you don't. It's hard to see through the jars, so kind of hold them up as you're filling them, and then you can kind of see exactly what your fill line is. And I'm not filling them completely full because I still have some more vanilla to put in there, and that level of that vodka will rise as you're adding more of the vanilla. So just put enough in there so you can kind of see where it is, and then we're going to finish putting the rest of that vanilla down in there. Okay, next you're going to take some time and really wipe your bottles down. You want to make sure that they are completely dry. Next we're going to add our caps, and they have the little cone insert in the center of them. These are really good bottles and caps because you can actually ship these because that is going to be an airtight seal. And you want to just make sure that you get them on really tight. Next, you want to shake your bottles up really good, and you want to do this every couple of days, and you need to store this in a dark space, maybe like a closet or something like that while it's making. But you definitely want to spend some time shaking these at least every other day, if not every day. And I'm just going to put mine in a cardboard box and stick it in a closet. Next, this kit comes with these labels, and I'm just going to put who it's made by. I'm just going to put my name on it. I'm going to put the date that I made these, and then you just put a batch number, and I'm just made up a batch number. I put 75 on mine. And then you're just going to attach one of these to each one of the bottles. These actually ended up being really pretty little labels. Package these. I'm just going to put these down into like a little gift bag. And then I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to tape up the corners to kind of box it in on the bottom. And you can go ahead and package these now. You don't have to wait for the month to finish packaging these. I went ahead and packaged mine now. And I'm just going to put a rubber band around the top to hold it all together. Okay, next to decorate this, I just got some garland from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to roll this up into the shape of a wreath. Now, I ended up measuring this off at about 15.5 inches in length. And so that's about how much you're going to need to do one of these. And just roll it into the shape of a wreath, and then we're just going to start wrapping it inside and around it just to hold it all together to kind of bulk it up a little bit. This garland makes really cute small wreaths. And you can make quite a few with this one piece of garland. I made 7 of mine, and I still had plenty left over for other projects. To attach this to my bottle, I'm just taking a ribbon. I'm going to run it around the bottle, come to the front, and then I'm just going to tie this off in a nice bow. And I got this ribbon from Amazon. I'll give you the link for it. You get a big roll of this. Look how cute that is. And I thought how cute this would be to add like a recipe that used vanilla in it. So I've given you these tags in the description below. You can just download them and cut them out. It's just a sugar cookie recipe, and I'm going to attach one of these to each one of my bottles. And I'm going to attach this with just a red and white baker's twine, and this actually comes with those bottles. So you get all of that in the kit. And I'm just going to tie a knot through there. I'm going to run it through, loop it, and then I'm just going to put it right over the top part of the bag. It's just kind of really help dress it up a little bit better. And then you can just hang this from the side. All right, look how cute that turned out. Let me know what you think in the comments. This next one, we're going to be making a bread dipping mix, and I just got these little spice jars from Amazon, and that's what we're going to put the dry goods in. Okay, we're going to start with some oregano, and I went and poured it into a little bowl because it made it a little bit easier. And you're going to add a tablespoon to each jar. Now, I'm just using a half tablespoon measuring spoon, but then after I got completely done with the first round of this recipe, I did figure out I was going to take 2 times the recipe to fill each one of my jars. And if you can find a jar that's half the size of these, then you can definitely just do 1 time the recipe. And then next, we're going to add in a tablespoon of basil. And we're going to fill each one of our jars with that. And then I am going to come back in and double my recipe on these as well. And the spice jars that I'm using here, these are 4-ounce jars. So if you could find a 2-ounce jar, you can just do your recipe 1 time. Okay, next we're going to add 1 teaspoon of iodized salt. Now you can use sea salt if you want to. You could even use kosher salt, just any kind of salt that you want to use. And I'm just adding 1 teaspoon to each one of my jars, and that's on just the regular base recipe. Okay, next we're going to add 1 teaspoon of ground black pepper to each one of our jars. Then you're going to want to add 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Now don't use garlic salt. Be sure and use garlic powder on this part. Next you're going to add 1 teaspoon of onion powder to each one of your jars. And then I'm adding just about a half of a teaspoon of little red pepper flakes. You can leave this part out if you don't think that they like stuff that's hot, but I'm just using a few of these just to give it a little bit more taste. And then this is where I went back in and did my second batch. Just put your jar lids on and then really give this a good shaking to mix this up completely. Okay, next we're going to attach our labels. Now these are 2.5-inch labels. I've given you these in the description below. Just download them and print them out, and then just print them on some Avery labels, and I'll give you the link for the Avery labels to use. Just going to kind of wrap it around the center. Just line it up there and then wrap it around the corners. And then if you double that recipe, you'll get 6 jars out of that. Okay, next I got these little 4-ounce jars from Amazon. They just have a little flip top lid on them. And I'm just going to fill these with some extra light olive oil. You're going to need a small funnel to do this, and these actually come with a small funnel, not this one here, but they have a little plastic one that comes with this. And I'm filling mine up pretty full, and then once you get done, you can just put your lid back on it, and I'll show you how airtight these are here in a little bit. But definitely buy fresh olive oil if you're going to be making these ahead of time. Just put your little cone into the bottle, and then I'll show you. Just turn them upside down, and you can see that they don't leak. Okay, next I've given you these tags in the description below. You can just download them, and I printed mine on just a craft paper, and I'll give you the link for the craft paper that I used. Okay, next I'm just going to take an 1/8-inch hole punch. I'm just going to punch a hole in this, and then I'm going to attach this with some baker's twine to my jars. And I'm just kind of running it through the little wires at the bottom, and then I'm just going to tie it off in the knot on the back. And then after we do this part, we're going to add a nice ribbon around the front part. And then I'm just using some green and white check ribbon. Just going to run it right through my wires onto the front, and then I'm just going to tie a nice bow on the front. And I think that's about a 3/8-inch ribbon. And tags really do dress up your gifts. And then I'm just going to take a piece of greenery to add a little bit more to it. I love to use greenery during the holidays for my gifts because it really does look festive. And I'm going to add the same ribbon to my dipping sauce mix just to kind of tie these two together. This really does make a nice gift because a lot of people like that dipping sauce. Okay, look how cute that is. I think this really does make a nice gift. And then I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to package them next. I'm just going to use a plastic bag that has a gusset, so it has a flat bottom on it. And I'm going to use some crinkle paper to put inside of here just for filler. And then I'm just going to add my 2 jars down inside of this, tie it up with a ribbon, and that's pretty much it. This was a really quick and easy way to package the pair of them together. Okay, then I'm just putting a rubber band around the top to hold it together, and then I'm going to attach a black and white checked ribbon around the top. And you could use a gift basket for this if you want to. That makes a nice gift as well. But look how pretty that turned out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, Okay, for this next one, I'm going to use a 1-gallon jug of jumbo dill pickles. You can get these at Walmart. They run around $6 for a bottle. And then I'm going to use some jalapeno slices. I'm going to use a whole jar of these. And then I'm also going to use some pre-minced garlic. Now, you could cut up your own if you want to, but this is a little bit cheaper way to do it. Then I'm using a 4-pound bag of granulated sugar, and I'm going to pour it into a measuring cup just so it's a little bit easy to work with while I'm making this. And then you're going to drain the pickle juice out of your pickles, and you're going to drain all the juice out of your jalapenos. You're going to take all your pickles out of your jar because you need your jar to be empty. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say that's a lot of sugar, but that sugar is going to make a syrup. It's going to sweeten the pickles. Most of it's going to stay in the liquid. Now, I would definitely wear some gloves while you're doing this because this does get a little bit sticky. And we're just going to start by slicing up all of our pickles. Now, cut the 2 ends off and discard those. And then I had to get a sharper knife because this knife just was not working very well. And then you're going to slice these into slices. Now, you can make these into chunks if you want to, or you can just put them into like thin slices. I like to make them into thin slices. And then you're going to slice them until you have 2 complete sliced pickles to start with. And then we're going to start our first layer. You can start by putting your pickles down into the bottom of your container, kind of flatten them out a little bit. And then we're going to put a layer of the jalapenos. We're going to end up using the whole jar of jalapenos, so you want to kind of divide between the layers. And I'm just going to pour it in here on top, just kind of sprinkle it around. And then we're going to add our garlic next, and then we're going to add our sugar on top of that. But you definitely want to use the whole bottle of the jalapenos. And I'm just putting about a couple of tablespoons of the garlic. And then I'm going to pour my sugar in it until it covers the top completely. This is what's going to make the juice come back. Okay, then once you get that layer done, then we're going to start again, and we're going to cut up 3 pickles this time. And then you're going to layer these on top of your last layer, and you want to make sure you try to get these kind of flat. And we're going to have to start pushing this down in here in a little bit because this is going to fill this jar up really full. And this is a really fun recipe to make. I've been making this for about the past 30 years, and everybody asks for it every single year. But you want to just kind of push it down, add your garlic, add your jalapenos, and then you're going to top it with your sugar again. Just kind of shake it down in there, kind of spread it around and push it down. And I ended up using about 3/4 of that entire bag of sugar. And then for my next layer, I'm going to use 4 pickles. And then on the last layer, I'm going to use 4 as well. And you're just going to stack this up just like you did the last layer. But I'm going to show you how you're going to have to start pushing it down because your jar is getting really full. And that'll make liquid really, really fast. At this part here, you're going to have to start really pushing your pickles down. And you're not going to hurt them by doing this, but you do have to push them down pretty good. Kind of push them down without kind of pushing your fingers through them. Just kind of with your palm of your hand. And then you're going to add your garlic layer, your jalapenos, and then you're going to top it off with the sugar again. And I would highly recommend wiping your surface down between each layer because this does end up creating a lot of juice. You're going to add your very last layer of the pickles, and you're going to use every single pickle that came in this jar. This ends up making about 10 mason jars full of pickles, so you get about 10 gifts out of this. And then you're going to finish with some of the garlic, and then you're going to put the rest of the jalapenos that came in the jar in there next. And then you're just going to cover this with sugar, but you don't want to fill it all the way to the top. So I'm just taking a paper towel to really clean all the sugar off the lid part, and then I'm just going to attach my lid onto here. Now you want to put your lid on super tight. If you can't get it on real tight, try to get somebody to help you because you do want this on tight because we are going to start turning this upside down and right side up. And really spend some time on this part. This is what's going to start getting the liquid in there. Just turn it upside down, shake it, and then you can just set it aside and come back and do it again a little bit later. It'll start dissolving all that sugar pretty quickly. And then you can leave this overnight. Put it in the refrigerator, leave it overnight, and then just keep turning it. Don't leave it upside down on the lid because you will have a big puddle of juice wherever it's laying. After about 6 hours, you can start putting these into the jars. You'll have your liquid pretty liquid by then. And I'm just going to take a spoon them in. And then once I get them in, I'll start adding the juice to them. So just get them all put into the jars, and then you can distribute the juice between the jars. And again, I did about 10 jars with this. And you don't have to fill them all the way to the top because you are going to have to put the juice in there. So you are going to have to leave a little bit of room for that. But just make sure that you are getting jalapenos and pickles all together in there. Get your jars filled, you're just going to take your juice and you're going to distribute it between all of your 10 jars. Next, I'm just going to take a paper towel and I'm just going to wipe my jars. And then you're just going to put your little lids on these. And then I actually said I had 10 jars. I actually ended up with 9 jars because I had to distribute them a little bit more to get them full. So I'm going to use a little mason jar vacuum sealer. This costs about $23 on Amazon. I would highly recommend one of these because it does suction your lid down. If you don't want to do this part, you don't have to, but it does make it a little bit cleaner because it sucks the lid on down in there and it won't leak. Especially if you're going to ship these to somebody, you definitely want to get one of these little vacuum sealers. So I'm just taking a clean wet rag and I'm just going to wipe down all my jars and I'm going to put my lids on tight. Just really clean those up good. Okay, next I've given you these labels in the description below. You just download them and print them. And I'm just going to put one of these little labels on the top of each one of my jars. Okay, next I've given you these little tags in the description below. And I just printed mine on some craft paper cardstock. Next to package these, I just got a little cellophane bag. I'm just going to slide my jar right down into the center of this. This was a pretty tight fit on this one. But you do want one that's kind of snug. And then I'm going to take one of my tags, I'm going to punch a hole with an 1/8 inch hole punch, and I'm going to add some baker's twine to tie around the top. This was a quick and easy way to package these. And I'm just going to put a rubber band around the top to hold my bag together. And then I'm going to add a little sprig of greenery to it to just kind of dress it up a little bit. And to just dress it up a little bit, I'm just going to add a black and white check ribbon to it to finish it off. This is a really great gift. If you make this year, they'll be asking for it every year. Look how cute that turned out. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope it gave you some inspiration. If you like these kind of videos, be sure and give me a like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified when I have a new video upload. Thank y'all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And if nobody's told you today, you're awesome. See you next time. Thanks for watching.